I'm Nick Seco from HomeRight Windows and Doors, and we're located in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. So we do vinyl replacement windows, we do steel and fiberglass entry doors, we do aluminum storm doors, and we do sliding patio doors, all made by Provia. The windows are a vinyl replacement window, and it could be anything from double hungs to casements to bay and bow windows and everything in between. So when somebody calls in the office and needs an estimate, they get Roxanne on the phone typically, and she would schedule an appointment for me to come out and take some measurements, provide some literature, go through what options we have, and then I would follow up within about 24 to 48 hours with an estimate with all the details of the products as well as the installed price. I find that we're typically much more affordable than the companies that you see advertising on TV or in a lot of other places. If they're spending a lot of advertising dollars, obviously they're passing those costs on to their consumers. You could go to our website at homerightwaynesboro.com, or you could call us at 717-749-4874.
Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk TriState with Tiny and Katie.
Welcome back to Let's Talk TriState, all powered by HomeRight Windows and Doors, the right choice winner in the 2024 Best of the Tri-State in Waynesboro. With us, our next guest from Patriot Federal Credit Union, who we love and adore, Michele Ford, and you are the Director of Financial Crimes and Fraud Prevention.
Correct.
So you have a very important job.
Absolutely. Keeps
and
me busy.
I bet it does. And I'm sure you're seeing a lot of interesting fraudulent scams that are happening. I know it feels like they're like amping up and more and more are coming about, which is crazy. So what are some of the trends that you're seeing with the types of scams?
We see a lot of trends right now. They involve cryptocurrency, checks, online account takeover, impersonation. There's just so many. But those are some of the top trends that we're seeing right now.
And what do you tell somebody who thinks that, who suspects, like, is this a fraudulent phone call? I don't know if this is accurate. What is the process that you would tell someone to go through?
Well, we try to do a lot of fact finding to find, who called them or how were they in touch with the scammer, and how did the scammer get in touch with them? Did they click a link? Did they receive a phone call? How did it start? So we always try to find the root cause first.
And what are you finding is the root cause, the most popular?
Oh, there's many sources. So social media is a source, links within text messages, unwanted phone calls, and a lot of folks like to pick up unknown phone calls and sometimes play along with the scammers.
Yes. My co-host Tiny loves to do that. That's one of he loves when he sees that unknown number call. He gets so excited so that he can start messing around with them. And I always think, I don't know if that's a good idea.
No, it's best not to play along with the scammers.
And what I'm assuming that the answer is account information, but what type of information are the fraudsters looking for?
Anything that you will give to them. So a lot of times they want your personal identifying information, which is your name, your date of birth, your social. But anything else, which is the keys to the kingdom, which is your email, your passwords, your online credentials to your online banking, anything that can develop who you are.
And then once they get that information, how do they use it?
They use it in many ways. So depending on what you give to them. So sometimes it takes a while for the scammer to get everything they need to accomplish their task. So sometimes they'll open up an account in your name online at another financial institution.
It's so scary.
It is very, very scary. Sometimes they'll impersonate you at your own financial institution, hence why you do not play along with the scammer, because they can record your voice.
Or with AI, I mean, now you can
so
easily duplicate somebody's voice.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So, or they'll use your credentials, sometimes dress up like you, appear like you, and there's a lot of different ways that they use this information.
That's really happening, that they'll dress up as somebody.
Absolutely.
And that is terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
And so how can you keep your financial information safe? What can you do to go above and beyond to make sure that you are protecting yourself as much as possible from anybody who's trying to get that information?
Follow your intuition. So we're going to go over a couple of different ways to keep your information safe, but follow your intuition. If something doesn't feel right when you're talking to somebody, disconnect that call. If it doesn't feel right, report it too. So we have a lot of folks that'll call us and say, I feel like I've been scammed. I think I gave away some of my information. And that's a key to us getting in front of that fraud and preventing it. The other thing is knowing where you're storing your information. So what do you have on your phone? Do you have a password on your phone? So if you lost your cell phone, what do the scammers have? Do you have pictures of your ID on there, pictures of your social? There's just so much information, especially if you're a frequent traveler. You like to have a lot of your information very handy on your cell phone.
Passport pictures.
Correct.
Yeah, wow. And now I'm like thinking about myself. That's really scary to think about.
It's beyond losing your wallet, losing your purse. It's now we're to the digital world of what if you lose your cell phone? What's in your cell phone? So there's so many apps that you already have your password saved to that the scammers can move money all around and do different things. So,
and then if that happens, what are the steps that Patriot will take to assist that person?
Our fraud department has strong procedures in place. So if you lose your cell phone, we're going to go over and ask you what apps you had on your phone. Did you have a password on your phone? But right away, we're mitigating your account at Patriot and making sure that we keep you safe.
Are you seeing this amp up in the last year, or has this been something that's been...
It's been amping up, I would say, probably over the past 5 years.
And I can imagine that social media has a huge part to do with it. People are constantly... I'm thinking about myself. I'm guilty of it, too. Clicking on this link for this new product that, looks fun, and then as soon as I can tell the information that they're asking me, as soon as somebody asks me for my social, that's when I think, there's probably something going on here.
Social media is being used in many different ways. One, to become friends with you. So the average age that a scammer will become friends with you is between 2 and 4 years. And then, our members will say, well, they're my friend. No, they're really a scammer, and they've just kept you on the hook for 2 to 4 years. So what happens then is they become friends, and they start to ask for money, start to ask you for your information, and then you're scammed. So those are a little harder to convince that they're being scammed because they feel they're friends.
Is this somebody that they actually have physically seen and have met, or just...
Well, it's interesting you say that, because with AI, that has created some challenges. So before you had, was it Skype or FaceTime? Now with AI, they can take a photo and bring that photo to life, so to say. So with technology, there's been a lot of advances that make it harder to convince someone that they're being scammed. So with social media also, it's what information do you have out there that scammers can develop, again, that profile. So we talked about losing information, but also what information do you have on social media? So your birthday.
Your phone number.
Your
parents.
Your email.
Yeah.
All the information that a scammer can just flip through within seconds and develop who you are. They might even be able to social engineer what your passwords might be. So that's how scammers are using social media.
Wow.
It's very, very scary.
That is extremely scary.
Yes.
And now, I was reading something earlier called smash and grab fraud. Can you explain that to me?
Absolutely. So smash and grab has been around for many, many years. And it is a group of individuals that travel up from Florida or the southern states, and they target areas that, such as churches, such as gyms, such as recreational events, sporting events. And they look for opportunities where individuals leave their belongings in the car, whether it's locked or unlocked. So they will look for purses mainly. Men mostly have their wallets on them at all times. But at a park, if you go for a walk on a stroll at the park, you're not going to carry your purse most likely. So this group knows that. So they will target parks, and they will look for an opportunity. Sometimes the doors are unlocked to the cars. Sometimes they are locked. But what they do is break the window, and if the purse is in plain sight, they take it. Sometimes they hit the jackpot. They'll get a checkbook. They'll get your driver's license. They'll get where you bank. And they take this information, and they go around to different financial institutions, cash checks, withdrawal. So do you remember me saying they dress up as you? They will impersonate and try to recruit someone that will look like you, and they'll make that person appear to be you. And they'll have all your information. They'll have your bank card. They might have a credit card. They might even have your Social Security card.
So
it's very scary.
It is very scary to think about. And I'm sure I can't be alone thinking about that. I wasn't aware that it was going to this extreme. So now that, I have a little bit of fear, how can we alleviate that? And what can I do to protect myself? And how can I work with Patriot to make sure I'm being protected as well?
So one of the things is, if you are going to a concert, you're going to your child's soccer tournament, either leave that information at home or take it with you. It's safer with you than it is locked in your car. So if you think about that, you're at a soccer tournament where there's a gazillion games going on. It's very loud. Are you really going to hear a window get broken? And they're very good at what they do. They're in and they're out within minutes, and they go very, very much undetected. So take your information with you, or if you must leave it in your car, take it out of view. And a lot of times at sporting events, folks are bringing along checkbooks because they have bills to pay, whether it's for uniforms or whether it's for candy or trips. Find an alternative way to pay, or pay ahead of time, or again, bring the information with you. So
seeing that you work for Patriot, you probably know the answer to this question.
Yes.
How do you feel about different things like Venmo? Is that a protected thing, or?
Well, it does pose some challenges because the fraudsters do love to take advantage of certain cash apps, your Venmos and so forth. Just keep your passwords safe. And if someone is asking you to open up a Cash App account or use your Venmo, a lot of times we see fraud where it's their friend, so to say, and they want them to send Venmo for them, or they want to receive deposits through their Venmo or their Cash App. That's your account. You should not be allowing others to run transactions through your account.
I even think about Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. Yes. I know I use it a lot. Now I've never done Venmo with that. I'm a cash only kind of person, but I have seen a lot more people say, this is my Cash App, this is my Venmo.
That's correct.
But as soon as you do that, they have access to your information.
And also we see folks on Facebook Marketplace that are accepting checks. And sometimes they're already providing the items to the fraudsters. And they say, hey, I've sent a check to you. And then that check is not good. So I liked your thought of accepting cash only.
Yeah.
It really is the way to go with Marketplace. And make sure that the method of payment that you are accepting, you trust the person. A lot of times if you are selling something on Marketplace and you're meeting in person, that would probably be the way to go, would be my suggestion. So those are some ways to keep yourself safe. And also, if you do receive a check with your financial institution. We train our employees very, very well to detect fraudulent checks because a lot of folks will receive checks and they have no idea. I received a $5,000 check in the mail, and I have no idea why I received it. And
it was good karma, yeah.
And so somewhere along the line, there's a scam involved in there. And if you receive a check, bring it to us. We can definitely identify the red flags, have a conversation, and you definitely don't want to be responsible for your spending that money.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you would much prefer that somebody call and ask and call and ask and call and ask instead of falling victim to some of these scams. Some of them are getting really elaborate too.
They are.
Luckily I haven't been a huge victim of this, but I did just have something happen to me through EasyPass.
Oh,
and it was before we reported on it in the news the other day. But I was traveling to Pennsylvania, and I used a toll, and then and it came from EasyPass. I'm sure there was something different in the logo, but it looked legit, and it said $6.99. And I thought, well, I did go through a toll, but I have an EasyPass, so why wouldn't it just deduct from the account? And just in my gut, I just thought that something doesn't seem right about this.
Correct.
Let me sit on this for a minute. And then it was like 2 days later, the reports came out that this was happening, $6.99 through EasyPass.
Right. And so that's where a lot of folks do fall victim, is they receive text messages that'll have a link. Look at that link. Don't click the link. And does it make sense? So sometimes the fraudsters are sending things out at mass quantities in hopes someone clicks the link, or that someone has an account at one of the financial institutions that's listed in the text message. to say you have suspicious activity on your account, call here. Well, I don't have an account at that financial institution, but someone else may, and they may panic and think, oh, I had suspicious activity there. Or just like you traveled, and yes, I did pay a toll, so this might make sense. I always train, pause, don't react quickly, pay attention to what you're receiving, and does the story make sense?
Is there anything that is a dead giveaway that you're being scammed?
There's a couple of different red flags. Looking at the URL, which is the link, don't click it, and hovering over, like if you receive an email, sometimes if you hover over it, you can see where it's coming from. If it's a valid business, and it's coming from a valid business, it's not going to have like gmail.com or yahoo.com.
AOL.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes they like to make the email appear to be from the legitimate business, but it's really not. Typos in,
That's a good one.
Or they use poor grammar. Also, they like to capitalize different things to draw your eyes to the specific words. And you ignore the rest of the content, and your eyes are just looking at what's bolded and what's capitalized.
Interesting.
Yes.
I feel I can't be alone in this, that I'm a little naive when it comes to, and maybe ignorant to, scammers and fraudulent activity. I don't think about it nearly as much as I should. I was just thinking, I have a checkbook in my purse, and how often am I going into the gym and leaving my purse in the car? And just... I now that we've had this conversation, it makes me aware that we need to be careful.
Absolutely. Take the purse with you, or don't bring it to the gym.
Yeah.
I know when I go to the gym, I have something very small that I keep what I need, and it's with me at all times. And I leave all my belongings at home.
And so many gyms, they don't have locked lockers. You just throw it in and off you go, and you just think, well, nobody's going to touch my locker, but you don't know who's coming in those doors and going in there.
That is absolutely
knowing that you're
correct.
Thinking that.
Absolutely. Or they get into your locker, or, they can cut off the lock also.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Wow.
It's very real.
I'm really glad, Michele, we had this conversation. Is there anything else that we did not cover, or any other information that you want to get out there before we wrap up here today? Just
make sure that you're pausing. The scammers like to take advantage of situations. They like to make fear and panic. A lot of the agencies that are being impersonated, such as the IRS, they don't make outbound phone calls. The scammers like to prey on folks not knowing all the ins and the outs of fraud. And they will make threats and continue to make you feel like if you don't do this, this will happen. That's another huge red flag. Also, from a lot of folks like to Google phone numbers to make a phone call. Use a reliable source and make sure that the phone number that you're calling is a good number. A lot of times, yes, Google's great, but it also can be your worst enemy because you might have Googled a bad phone number that is associated with a scammer. So use something such as your statement, or call your financial institution a reliable and trusted source.
Are you finding that there's a certain age that's being targeted more, an age group that's like the elderly that maybe...
The elderly are being targeted. We do see the elderly are being targeted. However, the youth are being targeted as well, because they're not educated as much on how to use their account, so they can be influenced in ways of, hey, can you accept this check and run it through your account? And I might give you $50. And they don't realize, no, you can't run a fraudulent check through your account, or they're easily to be influenced.
I can see that.
The elderly are also being targeted because they might not be as tech savvy, and then the scammers are preying on them, and that might be where the assets are.
And you're talking about AI. I know I've heard a story before where scammers are calling and pretending to be someone's granddaughter, grandson, and saying,
yes, that's called the grandparent scam.
Oh, that has a name to it.
Yes, it absolutely does.
Oh, that's
It is very terrifying.
It's terrifying and it's terrible.
Yes.
It's a shame that
Patriot made a video about the grandparent scam, actually, because it involves, again, social engineering, knowing who your grandchild is, and they say that Susie is in trouble and she is stranded, and I'm the attorney, and she's stranded in maybe a different country, and we need you to wire $10,000, but you can't tell anyone. So feel free to check out our website. We do have a video about the grandparent scam.
Absolutely. And I would say if you have any kinds of questions, pick up and call your financial institution. And I like your advice about not reacting, because I'm extremely reactionary. If something happens and I have that fear that's instilled in me, I want to take care of it immediately. But I like that. Just sit and pause, sit on it, like I did with the Easy Pass. And then, because you're right, your gut tells you something is not right here.
Absolutely. And if I can go back to the smash and grabs, if you do find that, hey, I was a victim to this and my window was broken, my purse was stolen, often the folks forget, they file the police report, but they forget to call their financial institution. So make sure, file the police report, but also make sure to reach out to your financial institution and tell them. So that they can put the proper mitigation in place and put comments and warnings out there.
Great. Well, Michele, thank you so much. This was a very, very good conversation. And I'm sure this is going to help a lot of people, even just to keep it top of mind. And just call your financial institution if you have any questions about anything. And I'm sure you guys never get annoyed with answering questions.
We have a lot of questions all day.
I'm sure. Well, thank you again for spending some time with us today.
Appreciate it.
Of course. We'll be right back with Let's Talk TriState, all powered by WellSpan, winner of the American Hospital Association's Quest for Quality Award, online at wellspan.org.
Let's talk TriState.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk TriState, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.